Welcome to Earth Talks. This is a weekly show that focuses on all kind of environmental issues from deforestation to climate change. This time, because of the COVID pandemic, we're coming to you via Zoom. Our focus is on solutions that work for the environment and the people who are making these solutions happen. Now, in the wake of the current pandemic, a virtual witch hunt has been organized against bats. It's believed that the virus originated in a bat species, and a bunch of scientists have come together to speak up for the bats. So I have with me today a bunch of people, as I said, who are batty about bats, and they're on a mission to spread more information about these misunderstood mammals. So without much ado, I must introduce my panelists. Rajesh Puttaswamaiah, he's a wildlife photographer, filmmaker, and a trustee with the Bat Conservation India Trust. He's been involved with various research and conservation projects related to bats since 2011. He likes to call himself as a citizen scientist. Rohit Chakravarti is a wildlife biologist. He's doing his PhD from Germany. He studied bat communities in Uttarakhand and also on the Andaman Islands. Jayanti Kalam is the co-founder of the Avian Rescue and Rehabilitation Center. She's also on the board of the International Wildlife Rehabilitation Council. She likes to say that bats hold a special place in her heart. And I must say, this is the first time I've met a wildlife rehabber specializing in bats. So thank you all so much for joining me on this conversation today. Rajesh, I'm going to come to you first. I want to know why bats. I know you've been passionate about wildlife, you've roamed the forests of India, but how did you come to choose bats?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Bahar. So, in fact, I've been into wildlife for almost 25 years now. But somewhere around 10 years back, I realized bats are completely neglected and there is hardly any information available in the market, in the wild about bats. So, when I started trying to kind of understand, even with identification, I realized there was hardly any information even to identify what species they were. So, on one critical aspect that I realized was bats play an important role in ecosystem, either as a pollinators or as seed dispersers or as a pest control. But sadly, all we know about is myths about bats, but not the real value of the bats. I think that's where I said, okay, it's time for me to focus on bats. And they're very critical in our ecosystem.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Rohit, I'm going to ask you now. You've studied bats for years now, and here we are in the midst of a pandemic, and a lot of people are blaming bats for it. And I must say, they're already very misunderstood mammal species. And there you have, the ICMR came out with a study. So now we are being told, a lot of researchers are saying that possibly this virus could have originated in bats. So does this mean that for people who are listening in, should they go out and cut trees and shoo away the bats in their neighborhood? What can they do? How worried should they be?
I think there's no reason to worry at all because somehow in the middle of all of these pandemics and disease outbreaks, we tend to forget that we have been living with bats for centuries. And if anything, any of this should have had to happen, it would have happened many years ago as well. But but it is true that bats do carry a lot of viruses. All animals do, but it so happens that the viruses that bats carry can cause deadly diseases to humans. But the good side is that we rarely come in direct contact with bats. I mean, even when we have bats in our own houses, we rarely come in direct contact with bats. And when we leave bats to their business and we mind our own, none of this ever happens. And another good thing, particularly in this pandemic and a lot of previous pandemics that we've seen, the viruses do not go directly from bats to humans. They largely go via an intermediate host, and and another animal is involved in the process. So we have absolutely nothing to fear about bats. That does not mean we go and hug bats, but we just have to leave them to their business.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, it is sad indeed that we don't hug bats enough, I would say, because I find that they're such vilified creatures. And that perhaps is a good note to turn to you, Jayanti, to ask you, you're a wildlife rescue person. I know that, a lot of rehabbers, they get a lot of animals, whether it's primates or birds. So are you getting a lot of bats as well in your city in Bengaluru? How frequently do you encounter bats? And what do you do to rescue them?
Yeah. Yeah, bats are all around us. Bangalore is a host of a variety of bats, both mega bats and micro bats. So we get the fruit eating variety. We also get the insect eating variety bats. Bats come because of various reasons into rehabilitation. Electrocution is one major reason, and we also have this manja issues where the manja is hanging onto the trees, and these bats go try to find fruits, and during that process get entangled. Other than that, they also get stuck in this fruit netting that they use in agricultural fields. And sometimes the bats come because they get impaled while flying, or they have some small tears in their membranes, fractures, and some of the young pups, while the mum is flying, they fall off from the mum. That is also another reason why these bats come into rescue and rehabilitation. Normally, bats, I would say on an average about 3 to 5 bats a month. That is during the normal times. Of all kinds put together. So that would be the normal load.
And how do you rescue these bats? For instance, especially right now, have you come across instances because of the pandemic that people are, trying to shoo them away? Have there been any such instances, negative instances?
Definitely. See, we started getting calls, panic calls, right from end of January, in fact. From January to now, we got about 18 calls where people are asking us to evict the bats. This is not a rescue call, just to evict the bats. People, during this pandemic, once the news started spreading, this happened before with Nipah virus too. Nipah virus happened about 2 years ago.
Yes.
During that time also, we noticed that people started calling in to remove bats from their neighborhoods. Even the same people who asked us to rescue the bats now are scared about the bats living in their vicinity. So we started getting these calls. But of late, I have seen reversing the trend. I got about 17 calls till about 10 days ago. In the last 10 days, where we would expect even further raise, actually there are less number of calls. Now, I would like to think it is because of all the awareness efforts that are going on. Now, this has to be verified. This may or may not be true, or it could be just a chance. But definitely, we have noticed the trend of, like, just right before these press releases of the positive anecdotes and all that added, we got a call, people asking, just cut the trees. Nothing is impossible. Even if when we try to say that, no, you're not supposed to cut the trees, people still were insisting. But right now, we noticed that there are not that many calls.
So perhaps that's a success of the communication that all of you put out. So Rajesh, I'd like to ask you, you had put out a plea on Facebook. In fact, that's one of the reasons, that's how I was able to get in touch with you, because you had put out on social media a request saying that the media needs to carry this message forward. And what did you find? Were there a lot of calls coming to you saying that people are saying they want to shoo them away? And what did you do finally to counter that? Like, did you reach out to the mass media? Did you do a campaign? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, true. So in fact, I used to get a lot of calls from various people. In the sense, I've been working with a lot of community folks across
Yes.
Karnataka and Northeast as well. And I have known few people who had reached out to me even before this pandemic started or early before, because they had bats in their house. And while they were a little concerned, they were not really so much bothered. They were had kind of, after conversation, they were happy to kind of leave with them. But the moment the ICMR report released, I think the same people who were comfortable so far got into panic mode. So these people started saying,
could you, sorry to interrupt you there, could you explain about the ICMR study? Because not everybody would be aware of
sure,
it.
yeah. So there's a government body called Indian Council of Medical Research who carried out a 2-year study after the Nipah outbreak across India and identified the two of the Indian bat species, the Pteropus medius and Rosetus reschernti, were carriers of certain strains of coronavirus. The report basically said detection of coronavirus in two of the Indian bat species.
Okay.
Now, for a common man, it's very difficult for them to understand the difference between coronavirus and COVID-19, the SARS-CoV-2. They're two different strains, and SARS-CoV-2 is different from the coronavirus that's found in the bat and will not affect human beings. So obviously, we can't expect the common man to understand it. So they really went into panic mode. So we started receiving calls, and then we started hearing about people chopping down trees. Like some of my friends who were witness to that really called me and said, we need to stop this immediately. So I got a call from across India that way. what we did was immediately reached out to the forest department in Karnataka and also put a notification on the Facebook asking for people to help and stop those actions. Sent out a communication to the in Karnataka Forest Department to issue a notification immediately. Simultaneously, we connected back with the scientist team in the ICMR because who are the ones who are responsible for publishing this report, asking them to kind of give a clarification, a press release, so that people really don't take it negatively. And when the report comes from them, I think it's
Yes.
more impactful. Fortunately, they did respond back immediately. I believe they didn't have the intention to of wrongdoing, but unfortunately, the damage was done by the time. However, I think all the press reports, and then we followed with a couple of journalists. I think we were able to kind of issue press note as well as a lot of other communication in terms of illustrations. So we
That's
looked
great.
at multiple way of communicating with the people and looking at a local language media. I think
Yeah.
that really helped us kind of diffuse the tension to some extent.
Okay, so reaching out to the local media, using social media, you used various techniques. I even heard of a group in Kerala that was coming up with face masks which had bats made on them, in support of bats. So Rohit, I want to ask you, you spend all your time dabbling around in caves and chasing bats. And remember, I mean, even before, this pandemic happened, as I've been saying, this is a species which is badly in need of a PR image. So can you tell us one endearing thing that you've learned about bats that someone who's watching this show would say, oh my God, that sounds amazing, or something which would surprise them about bats?
Uh, I actually don't have experiences from the back of my mind right now, but yes, I've seen.
Anything you may have learned about bats which surprised you? Anything while studying them?
Uh, so, well, firstly, of course, that bats are all around us, and that is something that people always tend to forget. Bats are all around us, and what was surprising when I first got uh, my bat detector. So it's a device that allows you to record the calls of bats, and which are in the ultrasonic. So I rushed when I got it. I rushed. I opened it. I went to my terrace at dusk, and I found that there were species that I would have never expected in my city. So there were at any given point of time there were 4 to 5 species flying right above me, and so even urban areas can have such high diversities of bats is very surprising. And then of course comes the question, where do these bats roost in the cities? And that because most other places, like particularly the developed world, does not have so many bats in cities all the time. And so that really highlights that our cities, our architecture, our cultural heritage, all of these are really conducive to having bats and all kinds of wildlife around. And what is even more interesting is that unlike many Westerners, Indians actually have a very positive attitude towards wildlife living around them. I mean, there are people who tolerate even larger, more dangerous animals on a regular basis. Uh, but to have so many animals in the city itself is itself a blessing, and I really hope that all of these things do not get shattered just because there's a disease outbreak. And I mean, we really have
Yes.
to remember that bats have
Yes.
been living with us for this while.
Okay, that's lovely. And in fact, Jayanti has a lovely story to share, which she was telling me before we started this chat. And I think it would be a nice, point to end our discussion on today before I come to you for final solutions. So Jayanti, could you share that story? You were telling us about a rescue which was successful.
Yeah, one fascinating thing about bats is they have great maternal instincts. So most of these bats, actually, with their pups and all that, they are trying to protect as much as possible these pups. So one of the problems that these bat pups face is when the mother is flying, sometimes because they hang to the mother, sometimes they can fall to the ground. So there's no need to panic because they're such good mothers. You know, they are going to take their pup right back if only we provide the right conducive environment. Over the recent last week, we have reunited 2 types of bats like this. One is a pipistrelle, small pipistrelle insect-eating bat, and the other is a flying fox. The flying fox reuniting is a career best for me because It is something that we weren't sure whether we could do it or not. There are so many factors that you have to take into consideration when reuniting. But when we actually went and put this bat up above 40 feet high on a tree, there was back and forth communication between the all the adults that are roosting in the tree adjacent to it. We did not go to the roosting tree because we did not want to disturb the adults. But with this back and forth communication, it was so amazing to see the mother bat fly to this pup, to her pup, and just embrace the pup and whisk away from the sight, our sight, prying eyes, into somewhere into the canopy. So this is a beautiful thing that you see. Just like us, they are trying to protect, they're trying to live amongst us. All we have to do is give them a chance.
Give them a chance. Thank you so much, Jayanti. Such a lovely story. I hope the makers of Batman actually, get some inspiration from your story. I've actually had my interaction with the bat at a wildlife rescue center, and I was amazed how I actually got to touch a bat. I don't know if I should be saying this on camera, but I actually had the good fortune to just pet it just for like 2 seconds, and I was amazed. It felt like my pet dog. But we're not saying that you go out there and start petting bats. Absolutely not. Let them be. But I think the whole objective of getting all of you together was perhaps to dispel some myths about bats, perhaps spare a thought for these creatures who are in our backyards. And please remember, stay safe, stay indoors, but please don't destroy the bats in your backyard. Thank you so much, Rajesh, Jayanti, and Rohit, for talking to us today. I hope we've succeeded, at least to some small extent, to dispelling the myths when it comes to bats. Thank you.
Thank you, Bahar.
Thank you.